How's it going, everybody? This is BeatTheBush. Today, I'm going to talk about frugality and how this is key to retiring early. This video is brought to you by the Moo trading app. You can get 5 free shares of stock valued between $3 and $3,500 each just for depositing $1. They have a new promotion going on which is skill-based. If you know a lot about the Apple stock, you can take a really hard quiz, and if you get 100% correct, you can get a free share of Apple stock. So essentially, if you sign up for this, you can get 6 free total shares of stock for free. Check out my referral link down in the video description below. First, let's talk about savings rate. Most people are going to save about 10% every year. And if you save for, let's say, 30 years at 10%, you're going to have enough to retire for 3 whole years. This is not counting any kind of market gains. Let's take a look at this table here, and it assumes that you make 100K just for some really nice round numbers over here. Savings rate of 10%, you're spending $90,000 every single year. If you make 100K and you save 10%, 10% of 100K is $10,000. So by the time, let's say you retire and you're still spending $90,000 a year, you actually need to save for 9 of these years in order to have enough money saved over there to retire for 1 year, right? 9 times $10,000 is $90,000. What gets really interesting here is if you reach about 50% savings rate. What happens here is that every single year that you work, you are essentially saving 1 year of retirement. So it doesn't take that many of these years before you can actually retire early. Let's say you're 30 years old, you work for 30 years, you're now 60 years old, now you can retire until you're 90. What gets really interesting is if you push your savings rate really hard to probably 70%, 80%, 90% and beyond. When you're around 70% of savings rate, this puts you squarely in the early retirement mode type of people where you save a whole bunch of money. I'm gonna talk about how this is possible in a little bit, but let's say you save 90% of your income. That means every single year you are spending only $10,000. It sounds ridiculous, right? But you're saving $90,000, which means you're saving 9 years of retirement every 1 year that you work. So it doesn't take many of these years in order to actually retire early, maybe 3 or 4 years of saving at 90% rate. So this sounds really attractive that, oh wow, you know, you only have to be in the workforce for 3 to 5 years and boom, you're retired. But of course, this requires you to spend at a really low level at $10,000 only. Personally, I pushed it to 100% savings rate. And now I'm going to talk about how this is possible. This is kind of like a slight accounting trick because the savings rate is really only looking at my salary income. All the side income I had is just funneled towards my expenses. So I didn't really count that as income. It's like, oh, I just made that on the side. So if you're able to reach 100% savings rate, it essentially means you no longer need your job income in order to survive because you're pulling in a bunch of money from side hustles, whatever, eBay, YouTube or whatever, and this essentially replaces whatever amount that you need to live on. So take a look at this chart over here. Once you reach 50%, 1 year of work is 1 year of savings, but then look, wow, when you reach 70, 89%, it really skyrockets in terms of amount that you save for retirement every year. So I've been really frugal and I have a lot of tips and tricks on how to do this. Essentially, I think subscriptions are toxic because they make you go on this automatic spending spree. You sometimes forget about the subscription, so then money just automatically goes out of your account. It's kind of like poking holes in your bucket and it's leaking, and sometimes you might not even use the service like Netflix, right? Maybe you don't even watch it for 1 month, or your magazine subscription, or your Apple iCloud. You know, I don't have that. I just make sure I back everything up onto my hard disks. I'm not saying to not get any subscription at all, because sometimes I would actually get subscriptions for 1 single month. I would get like HBO or something, and I'll just binge watch everything for an entire month and then cancel it the next month. So I get it for 1 month at a time. I just use it heavily and then I cancel it. I do have one single subscription though, which is Photoshop. And this might be interesting for some of you who need Photoshop for whatever reason, because normally it would be $20.99 per month. And if you get the photography subscription type, it's only $9.99. So that's the one that I personally get. Coffee is probably a well beaten down topic. It's like, don't buy your $5 coffee all the time and then you can save a lot more. So my take on this is I personally go get $5 coffee. Sometimes it's even $7 because I order almond milk and then I tip them. So, $1 and then another dollar is like, boom, $7 coffee now. My take on this is that it's okay to go to a coffee shop just as long as you don't make it a habit. It's not like you should go every single day or even every single week. The way I do it is that I make sure it's a brand new place. It's a very, very highly rated place. I buy it as like a movie ticket. I get a drink and that allows me to sit there, and I sit there for an hour or two, chit chat and whatnot, use the laptop, use their facilities. So I do it in a way where it's not automatic. I'm not going there just to get my caffeine fix. I'm going there as an activity, and I do it rarely, maybe like once or twice a month or so. So, it's not very, very big spending. Just, $5, $7, even if it's $10, it's okay. My spending right now is only about $1,500 every single month because I try to get my expenses as low as possible. Now, that's only on the surface. This is, my housing, all my utility bills, everything, my groceries, my insurance, all added up together. This is $1,500 roughly every single month. When you look more deeply underneath, I actually try to get some of these utilities paid for by itself. I've talked about Ohm Connect plenty of times, and this is what I use to try to help pay electricity by itself through these activities that you can turn off your electricity on certain ohm hours and then you can get some money paid back to you. And I use this to pay my utility. And because I am such an active user of this, I'm like really, really on the ball that I'm almost able to pay for my entire bill, just the combination of these two things together. Suffice to say that if you are PG&E, Southern California Electric, San Diego Gas and Electric, and now Con Ed, which is in New York, you can actually sign up for this thing, and my referral link is down in the video description below. Now, I'm not able to get every single utility paid for by itself. One of the hardest ones would be my AT&T internet bill. Like, I could not, for the life of me, try to get it at a lower and lower cost. So what I do instead is I just go, fine, I have to pay for this out of my own pocket with cash. So therefore, I'm gonna try to get some other way to pay for it, some other recurring income, maybe Amazon affiliate links. Maybe I will buy a chunk of stock that has dividends. I like to look at it in terms of how much I have to buy in order to get free internet forever. For example, let's say you have a dividend stock that pays you 5%. You have $10,000 laying around and you can invest this and you can say, this is just for my internet service. $10,000 into this dividend stock at 5% is $500. This is roughly about the yearly cost of my AT&T internet bill. It's $55 every single month. So it's about like $600. So, roughly around the right numbers, okay? So you buy a certain amount of a certain dividend stock. I'm gonna leave it there, designate it as for a certain bill. And this is kind of an interesting way to do things because this forces you to keep that there so that it would pay for your bills indefinitely. One of my ways to save is to not buy groceries. How do I do this? Is sometimes I am prone to, whenever I go to the grocery store, I overbuy. Like sometimes I go to Costco, I overbuy, and then sometimes I look at my fridge, it's like bursting, overflowing with food. So sometimes I would go on these binges of trying to eat up every single item in my pantry and in my fridge and in my freezer. I just try to consume everything. Just make sure that when you try to do this, it's not expired. Maybe you might need to replenish your vegetables or fruits because those goes bad really quickly. So you only buy the things that you need and try to consume everything else, right? Like if you have a lot of frozen meat, eat those first. Don't buy any other meat. If you are all out of vegetables, yeah, okay, fine. You can buy vegetables at that point. And what you'll find is if you do this purge, your refrigerator purge, you're gonna save a lot of money, and you're also going to waste a lot less food because things don't go bad as much anymore if you're able to purge all the stuff in your refrigerator. Last but not least is oftentimes if I see a really, really good deal, usually it's these half off price things, I would recognize as a really good deal and I would actually buy 2 of them. What happens when you buy 2 is you essentially get one of them for free if you go and flip the other one on eBay, on Facebook Marketplace, or somewhere. And you essentially have one of the items pay for itself. And then you're like, well, why don't I just buy a lot more of it, right? Why don't I buy 3 or 4 of it? Yeah, maybe you should, because if you sell one of them, you might have to pay some fees, so you might need to sell 2 of them in order to make enough money to pay for that one item. It's just like a game I like to play because I'm like, haha, I bought these headphones. I don't have to pay anything for it because I made the item pay for itself. It's just kind of like a weird hobby of mine. I did the same thing with Tesla stock with my Tesla car. So it's just something interesting to do. I hope these ideas are interesting for you guys. Don't forget to give me a like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.